New podcast, The East Asian Way of War. We'll start, just to clear the decks, with some clarity about what the struggle between Taipei and Beijing, some will say between Taiwan and China, or more precisely between the Republic of China on Taiwan and the People's Republic in Beijing on the mainland, is all about. Now, to my knowledge, East Asians are perfectly clear what the struggle is about, and non-East Asians are perfectly unclear. And this dialogue of the left, who is responsible for that? And if I want to be bad about this from the outside, the American, to some degree the English, but certainly the American attitude is, we will understand East Asia as long as we don't have to understand it. We will not understand East Asian politics on East Asian terms. So, as a consequence of that, when we replay the tapes of America's wars on Confucian Asia, Japan, Chinese Civil War, Korean Civil War, Vietnam's War of Revolution, and to a degree even Cambodia, you see a complete misunderstanding of what these struggles have been about for the Asian side. And with that, what would be the analogy? It would be like moving the furniture in the living room with the lights off. And this American policy makers, American pundits, American journalism, American academe, and Americans have all conspired in an insistence that the world must be understood on our terms and only in our terms, which is all dandy as long as the world's willing to go along. And Confucian Asia has never been willing to go along. Consequence? The Pacific War, the American victory over Japan, consistently misunderstood how the war ended and why. The struggle over the Civil War in China, who would inherit after the end of the Japanese War, looking for a ceasefire or a civil, a compromise. These wars are not about compromise. They're about total victory. And this applies to Korea, why the Korean problem is not solved. This applies to Vietnam. Henry Kissinger's benighted effort to make a compromise solution, or we'll get them to settle on some kind of coexistence. That wasn't what it was about. It was about total victory for Saigon or Hanoi, nothing in between. The discomfiture of Korean politics rests on the fundamental dissatisfaction that the Civil War has not been resolved in one way or the other. Again, where have you heard that before? For East Asians, this is as normal as rain. And the reason we don't know, we don't have a better understanding of these things, there are some people who do, and when they have understood it and tried to explain, no one listens to them. This is the nightmare of being an East Asian expert. When we're right, no one listens to it. When we're wrong, everybody believes us. So this is the struggle. So, Taiwan versus China. What is the problem here? Very simple exercise can be done, which will illuminate the whole problem in a nutshell. Go online and look up the official name of Taiwan. And when you go there, you will see that the official name of Taiwan is the Republic of China. The Republic of China was the name of the legitimate Chinese government after the Chinese Revolution, throughout the entire warlord period, struggling as it was, during the entire brutal struggle with Japan during the Second World War, and then the final struggle with the communists between 1945 and 1949. In 1949, Mao's forces swept the Republic of China's forces from the mainland, captured Beijing, and proclaimed the People's Republic. The forces of the Republic of China retired to Taiwan. The United States refused to allow the Chinese communists to finish the job, and therefore a fundamental irritant in China's politics was created because neither side had won completely. And the word completely there, the adverb, is what matters. It must be complete. Only then does the winning side have legitimacy. Now, the fruits of legitimacy when you win are complete. If you triumph, there is no legitimate opposition possible. Everybody understands this. You may have to leave if you still resist. You may have to go underground if you still resist. You may have to commit suicide in the symbolic act of resistance, perhaps, but you cannot legitimately resist the power of the new regime. That is the fruit of victory. That's why you seek victory. And that's why there can be no other solution to a conflict in Confucian Asia than total victory. And by and large, the United States has stood in the way of these total victories. And that's why we have bled, often to no purpose whatever, because we refuse to acknowledge the logic, the moral grammar of East Asian governance, how regimes are created and uncreated, and what the consequences of their creation and uncreation is. And unless we understand this consequence, we're going to be, as I say, stumbling around in the living room, trying to move the furniture in the dark. So, what is the problem with Japan and China and Taiwan? Until Beijing takes total control of Taiwan, and that's not a geographical issue. It is to eliminate the Republic of China as any claimant on legitimate rule of China in its totality. So, for example, let's assume the Chinese forces overran Taiwan, the mainland, the People's Republic, and the government fled, let's say, to San Francisco, and there opened up offices of a government in exile. The legitimacy, the challenge to People's Republic legitimacy would remain. It wouldn't be as threatening, but it would remain. The only way the deal ends is for the Republic of China to officially shut down, pull down the flags, cease to exist, go silent. Much like the Republic of Vietnam, South Vietnam, did. Just as would have happened to South Korea if the North Korean invasion in 1950 had succeeded. Are we clear now? Let's push it a little further. Let's say America and China, People's Republic, go to war. You notice the distance. It's about regimes. It's not nations. This is not a struggle between China and the United States. It is a struggle between Beijing and Washington, between the People's Republic of China and whatever government prevails in Washington. This is the whole battle. The Pacific War was the same. The Pacific War was a struggle about a government nominally, effectively headed by Tojo, an army junta, would continue to govern Japan or not. And conversely, if the Japanese had won the war, they would have demanded the end of the Roosevelt or Truman administration and put in its place a government of Americans that would have served Japanese interests. That's the point of the war. The point of the war was not to annex California or Hawaii or any other place. It was to change the government in Washington. Just as in the Japanese mind, the struggle with Washington as the Pacific War came to an end was about changing the government in Tokyo. Japan versus the United States, no. This is a misconception. And the same will apply to any struggle between the United States and China. It's not a struggle between the Chinese people and the American people. It's a struggle between two governments. And to see who survives and who flourishes and who triumphs. And it is about that and nothing else, strictly speaking, in Confucian terms. So, as long as the Republic of China exists in any form, the Chinese Civil War is unresolved. The Confucian irritant frustration with that will persist. And Americans are oblivious to this. And that obliviousness needs to end. Now, furthermore, there's another twist to this, as if that wasn't enough. And that twist is this. If Beijing and Washington go to war over Taiwan or anything else for that matter, and the United States has to invade the Chinese mainland, much as we invaded and prepared to invade, certainly Okinawa, and prepared to invade the Japanese mainland. Mercifully, we escaped that horror. But if we had to invade China with ground troops, guess what would be an absolutely essential ornament for our campaign? That would be a battle to restore the Republic of China to the legitimate control of the mainland. They would be our battering ram of legitimacy. The struggle would not be to to assert American control, ownership, colonization, or any other thing over China. It would be to restore the Republic of China, who, being grateful for our efforts to restore them, would serve our interests. Now are we clear? I think this is what it's about. I've given it a lot of thought, and I've personally